0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
It's now time for Meet the Opposition, hosted by Leonard Spider Montut. Mr. Montut, a very good morning to you. It's always good to see you.
Yes, good morning, Andre, and good morning to all our listeners, whether in St. Lucia, in the region, or in the diaspora. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Opposition. And for this week, I'm hoping that we're going to have a very interesting, informative discussion. And of course, toward the end of the program, we're going to give you an opportunity to call in and to air your views or ask your questions. But for today, I think we don't have a guest, but we have quite a few topics that I want to touch on. I'm hoping that we can get through most, if not all of them. And because, there's a lot of developments in the political arena these days. And so, we just want to touch on as many as we can. And talking about developments in the political arena, I think an election is imminent, and that is the view of most. I'm not in a position to say when it will be called and when it will be dated, but we anticipate that it will be any time from now. And of course, along with this has come the witch hunt that has already begun. And I say so because suddenly the famous not director of prosecution, but special prosecutor has found teeth and has grown muscles. And the special prosecutor has decided to respond perhaps to Yadi, who is saying that he's not earning his salary, and so he's going to work now. How opportune, how convenient, or should I say, how coincidental. On the eve of an election, an officer from the special prosecutor's office came to me, asking me questions about a matter that he claimed transpired in 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, that is 14 years ago. And so he is saying that matter took place, something to do with constituency council, and that he's investigating. And since I was Minister of Local Government, I hardly remember that I was Minister of Local Government then, because you'll recall that for the better part of our tenure between 2006 and 2011, Richard Frederick was the Minister of Local Government. Just excuse me a moment.
Yes, folks, this is the live broadcast of Meet the Opposition with Leonard Spider Montut. I think you're back on. Are you all right there?
Yes, I'm all right.
Okay.
I just
you needed some help.
Needed some extra eyes to see what I'm saying, Andre. and so Richard Frederick was the Minister of Local Government for the better part. But when Richard was fired in September of 2011, I was just reminded that I was the one who replaced him between September and November of 2011. I think the election was in November of 2011. And so, as a result, the gentleman is saying to me that he's questioning me in my capacity as Minister of Local Government since then, the matter that took place under my watch. Of course, I had no part of it because I recognized immediately what it was all about. I said it to the officer that they had sent him on a witch hunt, and that is all politically motivated. I predicted that right here on this program months ago that would happen. I said it would be especially targeted at Alan Chasney and Guy Joseph, but maybe for saying so, they started with me. Don't be surprised. Don't be alarmed. Don't be caught off guard. They will come up with something about Guy Joseph or Alan Chasney as well. Of course, they're going to shut up the loudmouth spider. Not a chance, my friends. Not a chance. That's not going to happen because you all have nothing on me. Let me just repeat that. You all have nothing on me. And I will not be party to your shenanigans. I will not entertain the crap that you all are trying to perpetrate at this time, because I know exactly what it is about, and I know exactly what it is you all are up to. So once you put my name in your matter and it is in the court, speculation will be rife. Propaganda will start to run wild. and that kind of thing, to divert attention from the real issues and the problems that we are facing under your government, St. Lucia Labour Party government, at this time in this country. Issues of stifling cost of living, issues of the worst healthcare system that we have had in the country's history, issues such as the crime that is taking place and the record murders that we are having in this country. These are the things we want you to address. That is what you're supposed to focus on and pay attention to. Apart from trying to buy votes and implicate people and cause diversions, these are the things you have to address. And if you want to be reconsidered for re-election, come and tell us how it is you're going to do much better than the disaster that you delivered to St. Lucians in this last five years, in this last term, and how it is you're going to make it better and remedy it. Do like the United Workers' Party. Come out with your policies and your plans and tell us how you're going to make our lives better in this country. And so, like I said, I have no time for that crap. And the officer came to me asking me a set of questions, which, of course, I couldn't answer. Because if he or the special prosecutor understood how a ministry works, and I, as minister, follow, the principles of how a minister conducts himself in a ministry. I am not involved in the day-to-day administration of any ministry that I held. I was not involved. The minister is supposed to provide policy guidance to a ministry. And the crap he was asking me about, I would not have known. I sent him to the relevant people that he could have questioned. But of course, they have no interest in those people. That's not going to bring political mileage. That's not going to cause a political stir. So, go to Spider. Well, if you go to Spider, Spider will tell you go to hell. And that is my response to you all. And so you will hear, as time goes on, they will come up with more and more of those things. They can't go any further with me. They know that because I'm sure the police officer realized that I understand and know my rights fully, and I'm not going to be part of the game that they're trying to play. And so I just needed to bring that to your attention. So you will, I'm predicting it, that you will hear more of that, where they're going to come up with cases out of the blue, all kind of concocted stories in the witch hunt to score political points and to divert people's attention from the real issues that are affecting the country at this time.
So Mr. Montut, when you say about buying votes, do you mean that literally, like they pay?
Well, Andre, when they give you money, what do you think they give it to you for? Just because they love you?
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
I mean, even to come to the events, they give people money to come to the events. They give people, all of a sudden, they care about who needs money to fix their house, who needs money for whatever you go to them for. And right now, I think, except for the fact that, I am out there and branded already. If I needed anything right now, I'd just go to them and get it. And there's no question about that.
Really? Well, if you decide to go,
so
please.
Try your luck, Andre.
No, I was going to say, if you decide to go, please take me along.
I can't go, Andre. I'm too loud. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with a press release issued by Castries East. And I just want to read through that press release from Castries East. That is a press release to the Prime Minister, Philip J. Pierre, and they are asking the Prime Minister to apologize to the Bishop's Gap residents. The press release reads, the United Workers' Party Castries East branch condemns the disrespectful remarks made by Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre about residents of Bishop Gap, including children and supporters of the UWP. At a Labour Party meeting on October 29th, Mr. Pierre mocked a UWP gathering led by Peter Chico, saying there were 3 brothers, 2 people, and 4 dogs. He then showed a photo of 9 residents. No animals were present. This kind of language is beneath the office of Prime Minister and disrespectful to the people of Castries East. Instead of mocking citizens, Mr. Pierre should spend his time explaining why, 4 years later, none of his major promises to Castries East have been delivered. No community centers, no opportunities, and no real progress. Worse yet, under his leadership, St. Lucia faces record-breaking crime, unbearable cost of living, and the highest national debt in our history. These are the issues a Prime Minister should be focused on, not spying on UWP meetings or insulting residents who deserve respect and better representation. The UWP Castries East branch calls on Mr. Pierre to apologize and retract his statement. Castries East and the people of St. Lucia deserve a leader who delivers results, not one who hides failure behind ridicule. So this here was a press release from Castries East constituency branch to the Prime Minister, who I actually saw a clip of the Prime Minister's statement on that issue, and when he sought to ridicule Peter Chico and the people of Castries East. And so I just thought I should read this to let you know, while cost of living is busting through the roof, while people are dying on the streets and byways and in the gutters of St. Lucia like flies, like frogs, and while the health system is in shambles, that is what your Prime Minister is preoccupied with. Unfortunate but true. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to go into another topic now. And of course, Sunday was a very politically charged day. The SLP had the launching of their Swazel candidate, and the United Workers' Party had its youth rally in the constituency of Miku South, Beauchamp to be precise, at a park called Utopia Park. Ladies and gentlemen, I was present for part of that rally, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the turnout in terms of the number of young people who came out and showed and demonstrated their support for the United Workers' Party. That was very heartening. That was very gratifying. And of course, the United Workers' Party did not disappoint. They delivered, or should I say, the political leader delivered to the young people what he called seven SOS policies for youth. And for the benefit of our listeners, I want to go through those policies.
And by the way, SOS means Save Our St. Lucia. Okay.
Yeah. Save Our St. Lucia. And so I will, instead of paraphrasing, I'll actually read, a release from the leader of the opposition's office on that issue, and it will in effect capture what he said at the rally to the young people. And let me just say that the young people were there in their numbers, and I think that can give a lot of hope to the United Workers' Party. And even if that came prior to the release of those 7 SOS policies for youth, I can only imagine when other young people get wind of those 7 SOS policies for youth, how much they will be impressed and drawn to the United Workers' Party. Let me remind you, and do not be mistaken, that there were 7 SOS policies, general policies. Of course, some of them served the youth directly, but they were more general in nature, and I will come back to that in a moment so that we do not mix up and mistake. But here goes. The United Workers' Party unveils game-changing youth SOS plans to put power and opportunities into young hands. The United Workers' Party has officially unveiled its groundbreaking 7-point Youth SOS Plan, a decisive solution-driven agenda to empower St. Lucia's young people with transformative opportunities, stronger representation, and a genuine voice in shaping their country's future. Our youth, and that is a quote from the leader of the opposition that I really like, our youth are not a problem to be managed. They are the power to be unleashed. Let me read that again. Our youth are not a problem to be managed. They are the power to be unleashed. So said the UWP leader, Honorable Alan Shastney. This SOS plan, and as Andre White rightly indicated, SOS means Save Our St. Lucia. This Save Our St. Lucia plan is our promise to give every young St. Lucian the tools, confidence, and pathways to own their destiny. The Youth SOS Plan introduces several transformative measures, and they are $25,000 youth startup grants, empowering youth entrepreneurs, especially in creative industries, technology, agriculture, and hospitality. So in other words, young people are going to be given up to $25,000 to start up their business, okay, to empower them as entrepreneurs, in areas especially like creative industries, technology, agriculture, and hospitality. The next one is number 2, Digital Learning Academy, a first of its kind institution offering certification in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, programming, and robotics, preparing St. Lucians for digital opportunities globally. And that, I think, will resonate with the young people, because that is what the world is about currently. And when you get into those areas, you can sit right here in St. Lucia and work for companies in the US and earn yourself US dollars, and not just in the US, but anywhere in the world. So I think that is the way the world is going, and St. Lucia must position itself through its youth to capitalize and take advantage of that development. Number 3, Mortgage Guarantee Program. This is helping first-time young home buyers access affordable starter homes and apartments. So, you will get the details of this later, but basically, in a nutshell, what it is about. Young people, especially if they are employed, usually, and we are hoping so, that they don't focus just on cars, but look to own property, have their own house and land. But what is so easy to do when it comes to buying a car to get a mortgage is not as easy when it comes to buying a home and buying land. The government of St. Lucia under the United Workers' Party will make that a thing of the past. They're going to make it much easier for young people, especially first-time young home buyers, to access affordable starter homes and apartments. So government will engage, as well as the private sector, in the building of those homes, and they will assist the young people in being able to access it. I remember, as a young person, based on the salary that I was getting, I was probably in a position to pay the loan monthly. Say if the loan was $500, I was getting maybe $3,000. I was in a position to pay the loan, but if they told me that the deposit was, say, $20,000, where would I get the $20,000 from? So that's a headache you young people of today under United Workers' Party government will not have. And as I said, the candidates of the United Workers' Party, the leadership of the United Workers' Party, will elaborate further so that you can get a clear idea of what exactly it is they have in store for you and how you can access and take advantage of that. Youth at the table is the 4th one. What does that mean? It means young people will have official representation on constituency councils, statutory boards, and national committees. And that will ensure youth voices are heard where decisions are made. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a game changer. That is the difference. That's not tokenization. That is real empowerment of young people, putting them in a position to be among decision makers, to be at the table where their future is being decided. That is commendable. Number 5, stronger youth councils. The United Workers' Party will increase funding to the National Youth Council to revitalize district youth and sports councils island-wide. Again, the full details will be given to you, but you get a general idea. The NYC will be supported with funding and provided assistance to revitalize the district youth and sports councils island-wide, thereby being in a better position to serve and provide programs for young people. Number 6, Dennery Segment Cultural Competition. The UWP, when in government, will create a new national platform to celebrate and commercialize local talent. Again, full details you will get on this, but this mentions specifically the Dennery Segment Cultural Competition because this is a new development that has taken place in St. Lucia over the last few years among young people that has great potential that has not been maximized. We have not taken advantage of that new development with full efficacy, and the United Workers' Party will be creating the platform to celebrate and commercialize local talents such as what we see in the Dennery segment. Youth ambassadors. The United Workers' Party will be appointing ambassadors for sports, entertainment, and business to showcase St. Lucian excellence regionally and globally. Chasney emphasized, we're building a St. Lucia where young people lead, innovate, and thrive, not one where they are sidelined or silenced. The United Workers' Party's 7-point Youth SOS plan signals a new era of inclusion and empowerment, one where the next generation takes its rightful place at the center of national progress. It's a pity, Andre, I didn't come here with a drum roll, you know, and that's something to be celebrated, that's something to be commended, and I highly compliment the UWP. The UWP has given me cause to have even more confidence in them and given me more reason to say, without any shadow of a doubt and without any fear of contradiction, that UWP is by far the better party for St. Lucia and St. Lucians. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I spoke of the SOS, 7 SOS policies for youth. I have on previous occasions right here mentioned the 7 SOS policies, the general ones, and I will not go into detail, but I will just refresh your memory by mentioning them. I think I can, off the top of my head, call them out. I know now, one, there is, and I'm not going in any particular order, there is the pension for banana farmers, retired banana farmers. There is the suspension of the dam dredging fee to people in the south. There is the tuition-free attendance at South Louis Community College for young people. So that tertiary education will be provided to St. Lucians for free. There is the 2.5% levy that will be removed immediately upon assuming office by the United Workers' Party, that oppressive 2.5% that has made cost of living and services in this country even higher than it is already, and that was presented to us in a very deceptive manner. They are also going to reduce the price of gas, given the low cost of oil on the international market. They are saying that if it continues to be this way, upon assuming office, UWP will have the price of a gallon of gas at the pump $14 or less. And in any case, they will be reducing the price of fuel, cooking gas, and all of that to reflect the reality on the international market, that is the low cost of oil. How many have I called there? 105?
I think so.
Yes, and we also have the NHI, okay, the National Health Insurance, and that in itself is something I want to comment on later, which I will do, you know, and that National Health Insurance will provide health coverage for every St. Lucian, especially, well, when I say especially, every St. Lucian, including, rather, not especially, but including the unemployed, the disabled, and the indigent. And that they will do to give you coverage of up to $75,000. Andre, if you permit me.
So, Mr. Mansur, you're saying these SOS pledges or promises, they're two separate ones, one for the youth and another.
One specifically for the
youth.
These, well, some of these dimensions will benefit the youth. I mean, young people get sick, so for example, the NHI will benefit them. The South Louis Community College tuition doesn't mean you and I can go and get the tuition free, Andre, but don't count on me to do that. You know? It is mostly for the youth. They're going to benefit from that as well. When we reduce the 2.5% on the gas, many young people drive, many young people, all young people go to the supermarket and so on. They too will benefit. So that doesn't mean that the wider 7 SOS policies will not benefit them as well. But this one is specifically for them. You know, somebody like me who already have my home will not benefit from any mortgage guarantee and those things are specifically for them. Yeah, you know.
I just keep noticing whenever these announcements are made, whether from the opposition or from the government, usually the policies and promises and so on tend to focus more on younger people. There's hardly anything for the older folks.
Well,
why is that?
In that was specifically for the youth, Andre, but like I mentioned, those that I mentioned before are in fact for the wider population. Yeah. Imagine there's one specifically for retired banana farmers.
Right.
No young person will benefit.
Yeah, but that's a certain select group.
Yeah, but what more do you want, Andre? We're taking out the 2.5% for you. We're reducing the gas price for you. We're going to ensure that you don't have to pay tuition for your children going to South Louis Community College. You benefit from that. You're going to benefit directly from the NHI, the National Health Insurance, you know. I mean, the border control, I didn't mention that one. Border control, they're going to create a border control agency to reduce crime. Everybody going to benefit from that, especially us. You understand what I'm saying? The older people who usually are at the mercy of criminals who are generally younger.
And I'm not saying this is an opposition thing, right? It happens with the government as well. Most of the benefits there for younger people. Older folks just happen to benefit from those.
No. It is designed to benefit everyone, some of them. And there are those specifically for the young.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Because the young is a more at-risk group, you must admit, in our population.
I thought the older people were more at risk.
No, the younger people are the ones who engage in gang violence. They are the ones who engage in crime. They are the ones who go astray, get involved in drug use. They are the ones, who fall by the wayside, and so on. And they are the ones who have to, we complain about our population and so on. We have to put them in a position to be able to afford and grow families, and not just have children, but have families that are cared for and nurtured in the way that we want it to be, so that we can have a good society for tomorrow. And they are the ones who are going to carry us. And if they do not thrive, then you and I cannot even get our pension. So we have to take care of the youth as well, and that is
definitely
what
I agree as well.
Is doing. But the UWP, I must say, has a comprehensive approach where they are taking care of both young and old.
All right. And talking about that, as you mentioned, young people, at that same event, the leader of the opposition made a statement, and I wrote it last night. I actually have it here. I can quote him, and this is making waves all over the place. So I just wanted to know if you're aware of it, and if you have any comment to make. At that same event with the young people, he said, let me quote here, "The gangs have served some good purposes in this country. The gangs have served some good purposes in this country." Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but as I said, it's like almost like going viral.
I will have to check it out, because you see, I like to get context. That in isolation by itself, I do not know what is it he was trying to convey, what message he was delivering, and so on. Now, I can make assumptions here, but I don't think that will be right or that will be fair. I will not only find the clip, but I will also question the leader of the opposition about that, and I will, when I return here, will make a statement on it.
Okay.
And right. I am prepared to say that I doubt that the leader of the opposition will be encouraging gang formation and, gang culture in this country.
So that's why I'm very concerned about that statement. It doesn't sound right, but as you said there...
But at the top of my head, though, like I said, I do not know the context, so I'm not commenting on what he meant. I'm commenting on what I could imagine. Because when they say the gang serves a good purpose, for young people who are unattached, young people who are not connected, who feel isolated and so on, the gang provides them with an avenue of acceptance. It provides them with an embodiment of what you call a form of comfort, a family, so to speak, that they may not have otherwise.
Right.
It is just that the gangs as we know it will use that control they have over them, or influence rather that they have over them, to lead them in the wrong direction, into drug use and selling of drugs and violence and things like that. But if we can be the ones to embrace them and lead them along the right path, I think that will be better. I'm not, but like I said, yes. I am not going to comment on the statement because I do not know the context of it right now. But Andre, before I move any further, if I go forward, I really want to just repeat what I said there in Creole for the benefit of all my listeners, and I want to go through the 7 SOS policies for youth that the United Workers Party enunciated on Sunday as the leader of the party. And so if I can just try to briefly explain in Creole. Flambeau dit comme ça là entre un gouvernement yo kay potiwe jeune gens avec $25,000 pour commencer business en bagaille comme musique avec bagaille comme ça avec technology agricole avec bagaille pour faire avec tourisme. Bon, raison qui moi crois ça c'est bon bagaille c'est parce que à présent où ça gouvernement ka bail jeune gens $5,000. Si nous sérieux messieurs, manière bagaille cher à présent nous savons $5,000 c'est une blague. $5,000 là c'est pas jet business $5,000 ça a commencé. Avec si il commence en business, on vous demande qui qualité business. $25,000 pour moi, plus en direction monde qui sérieux si vous voulez commencer en business pour joindre l'argent ça là pour commencer business là. Aussi bien là l'autre plan pour aider yo parce que vous avez entraîné yo avec chebel en main yo pour guider yo à ce manière pour courir business là pour faire assurer business à sans succès. L'autre bagage yo ka dit, massivement pour dire ça en anglais pourquoi moi monsieur, mais yo ka commencer un digital learning academy. Ça c'est l'école côté moun ka un certificat en artificial intelligence, cyber security, programming, robotics, et bagay comme ça. Bon, mais c'est tous ces bagages ça là, ni pour faire avec internet, ni pour faire avec technologie, avec bagay comme ça. C'est bagay là, c'est jeunes gens là-dedans, yo kay entraîner yo, bâtir l'école, côté yo kay entraîner yo en ces bagages ça là. Parce que là où indiqué, ou entraîner en ces bagages ça là, où ça ou été simple ici, avec travail, by compagnie qui l'Amérique et India de l'autre côté et fait l'argent la caillou même depuis on en computer et on internet. Bon, et c'est ça aussi qu'il pour tirer l'autre possibilité by simple ici, on parle de cyber security et c'est ça là qu'il de protéger citoyens simple ici aussi et en chaque diverses possibilités qu'il sorti en ça. Mais ça c'est particulièrement pour jeunes gens. Troisième bagage là c'est yo ka dit yo ka pour tirer un mortgage pour jeunes gens que yo ka pour tirer deposit là par les jeunes gens qui veulent qui acheter caille hectare pour première fois pour faire possible pour yo commencer un caille yo avec appartement yo gouvernement caille aider yo avec mortgage ça là donc plan c'est pour assister yo pour bail deposit là avec pour faire assurer ces caille là expressement c'est ça qui bâti par gouvernement kay a dans puits côté yo même ça a faute pour nous. L'autre bagage là c'est yo ramener ces jeunesse là à table là. Bon ça yo voulait dire pas ça. Yo voulait bailler ces jeunesse là représentation à sous concite en ces villages là avec ces villes là, ça c'est constituency council là. Yo voulait mettre yo associé board là avec ces national committees là pour faire assis yo ni envoie côté décision qu'a fait en Saint-Lucie et quand comme ça on cherche ces décisions ça là qui affecté la vie yo avec affecté yo en tant qu'à venir. Stronger Youth Council ça c'est yo fait plus fort Youth Council avec yo kay bay National Youth Council là plus assistance et pour faire assurer yo vie bâti c'est District Youth and Sports Council là au Lyon pays. L'autre bagage là c'est dernier segment cultural competition. Yo kay fait une compétition en dernier segment avec yo kay faire assurer l'année en plateforme nationale pour célébrer et pour faire profit à ce talent local. La kay aussi ni ça yo créé Youth Ambassadors, ça veut dire yo kay apprenti gens sport, gens qui en musique, avec danser avec différents entertainment avec gens qui en business, jeunes gens qui en business, yo ka aider pour ça montrer ça yo ka fait dehors Saint-Lucie. Pas juste en région mais en la terre. So c'est ces plans ça UWP ni là yo quand en gouvernement. Moi j'ai dit que c'est ba ou c'est ces plans en général là yo ni so ça c'est ça c'est en particulièrement principalement pour jeunes gens en pays. Mais c'est là pour l'autre monde moi t'ai discuté en créole aussi même juste pour faire changer c'est ça c'est femme fille qui j'ai retire quand je viens en pension monde qui est en sud pays pas qu'à pour payer dame dredging fee ça c'est l'argent il va payer pour dredge ce John Compton dame dans ozo parce que c'est mon qui en sud pays pas qu'à handle sortir dame là ça pas justice pour yo payer pour en bas yo pas joindre la kay ni en réduction en prix gaz pour chauffer pour maman et papa gratuitement manger avec comme ça prix gaz qui a baissé gouvernement flamboie qui a tiré 2.5% là Philippe JP a mis en l'air d'eau ça il menti à bord là qui dit c'est pour santé avec sécurité pendant temps il était pour y joindre en loan il mettait 2.5% dans l'air 2.5% ça là fait bagay plus mauvais en pays parce que marchandises qui étaient hachées déjà, il fait plus cher. Et aussi les services sociaux, on aller au avocat pour un service, ou aller aux personnes pour un service, l'argent on gagne pour payer là on nous met un lot 2.5% dans l'air. So ça qu'a fait la vie plus wet by Saint-Lucie, UWP a tiré ça en les dos. Ça c'est mon quoi 4. La Kaini border control, ça c'est la Wad Saint-Lucie et comme toutes ces portes là qu'on nous contrôle en la Wad là, les airports, toutes ces places là, yo kay mettre contrôle en place pour gun, drogue et l'argent sale pas entrer en pays qu'on qu'a fait à présent pour nous savoir une réduction en crime qui qu'a fait en la rue Saint-Lucie parce que nous pas produire gun mais gun quand tout est sorti à considérer c'est 20 avec ça nous pour bout parce que si nous baisser à sous ça kay baisser à sous crime nous avons en pays Saint-Lucie. Yo aussi qu'a promettre côté yo kay pour tirer indication à ça for Louis Community College pour rien ou pas gagne pour payer pour tuition ou pas gagne pour payer rien ou ça a une indication là pour rien. Qu'est-ce que là ça NHI ça est bien important, ça c'est un National Health Insurance, yo kay pour tirer insurance by tout Saint-Lucien avec insurance ça la fait assis sur malade ou ça aller au petit docteur si on veut faire l'opération ou gagner l'argent pour payer pour faire l'opération avec côté qui là yo fait ça tout Saint-Lucien pas ni pour dans Saint-Lucien pas ni pour aller faire la charité si on une malade si on est en situation si on veut faire opération la ni un système en place pour tirer pour yo exact Saint-Lucien kay couvert pour autant qu'on $75,000 $75,000. So ça c'est ces plans yoni en général mais moi là expliquer ces plans yoni pour jeunesse en particulier. Bon, moi capable about National Health Insurance. On parle about health system cette ici. Bon, on vient en anglais après ça. Anglais est plus facile pour moi. So we are looking at our health system in this country. And before I go into this, Andre, there's a situation that I want to highlight. I want to bring to the attention of our listeners and viewers. And that has to do with, you know, what I was talking about, something that the NHI would more than likely address, you know. Okay. I'm getting some problem here trying to pull it up. Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, just like to remind our listeners and viewers that this is Meet the Opposition, hosted by Leonard Spider Montoot. We're going right through until 11 o'clock this morning on Meet the Opposition. Or as Mr. Montoot keeps saying, the government in waiting?
Government in waiting.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You've organized yourself?
Yes. There is this student from Moshi, Andre. He's a student at the Moshi school. He's a 13-year-old. And his name is Carlton Santoma, and he is afflicted with a very rare disease, you know, and he is in hospital now at the ICU.
Wow.
And so an appeal is being made for GoFundMe to raise funds for his care because he needs to be flown to Martinique for care. So let me just read from what I saw on social media and as an appeal to St. Lucia. I don't want to read that part here, but it is said that the child is at OKU waiting for his parents to raise about $20,000 to get him.
That's easy?
Airlifted, easy, yes, to get him airlifted to Martinique to try and save him now.
So that's just for the air ambulance, the $20,000.
Yes.
So you're not even talking about the cost of his surgery or anything like that.
Right.
No.
So I want to read from what I saw on the social media, the appeal, the GoFundMe appeal. I think a few more people will hear me talk about it and will be moved to make a contribution. It reads here, my name is Abby John and I am the sister of Carlton Santoma, a bright and energetic 13-year-old boy who has always been full of life, laughter and kindness. What happened? Carlton participated in his school's marathon just days ago, and upon completing the marathon, he reported not feeling well, which progressively got worse over the next 2 days until we had to rush him to hospital. He has since been diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS, a rare neurological condition that causes paralysis and can stop the body from breathing on its own. His current condition. Carlton is now in the intensive care unit at the Owen King European Union Hospital in St. Lucia. His condition has worsened, and doctors say he must be airlifted urgently to Martinique for specialized life-saving treatment. That care is not available in St. Lucia. And so, they are saying that they have raised $2,117 of the $22,000 that is needed. Okay, and there's another part which says, how can you help? But it's cut off, I didn't get it. But I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you can make a contribution to help save this young boy's life, that would be a good cause for you to assist. So this is a GoFundMe request, and so you can, go on social media and find it. Okay, www.gofundme.com, and you might see this there, or you can, contact the family if you can and try to assist.
Now, Mr. Montreal, what I understand, we need to help ourselves, but I'm sure if the government were to learn about this particular situation, they'd be willing to help.
Thank you, Andre. That's what I was coming to.
Oh, okay.
I want to say that $22,000, for you and I, Andre, is a lot, but in the scheme of things, it's nothing. Especially in the context of saving a child's life. It is nothing. And I want to appeal to the government to step in. Because while the family is there in the effort trying to raise funds, God knows how long it will take. Who knows? The child's condition can worsen, his health can deteriorate, and he can end up dying. I want to suggest strongly that the government steps in immediately and provide the finances needed for that child to be airlifted to Martinique, where he can get the care he deserves. And let me be political now. Just as you do for Joachim Henry, who earns about $15,000 a month, just as you do for Virginia Albert Poyet, who earns about $15,000 a month, do it for a child whose parents obviously cannot afford to sustain that expense to save their child's life. So I'm making an appeal to the Minister of Health, to the Prime Minister who's Minister of Finance, step in immediately and provide assistance.
Well, Mr. Montreal, I'm appealing to you. Certainly you have a level of influence. Just pick up the phone and call the Health Minister. Simple as that. Don't you think so?
Andre, you genuinely believe what you just said?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay. Well, let me just inform you. If I cuss any of the ministers now, within the next 5 minutes, social media will be blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I'm not in a position to say what Timothy Polio says, that his program is the most monitored. His program is by far more popular and well known and followed than mine. But my program, I can assure you, all my programs are monitored.
Mm-hmm.
They know. Besides, that is a schoolboy, okay? And to provide context, I am not about to suggest to you that his affliction is as a direct result of having participated in the marathon. But the little bit I know about GBS, which is the syndrome that he's suffering.
I think it's called Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Guillain-Barré syndrome,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Guillain-Barré syndrome. The little I know about it is that it's a virus, but it affects you or becomes worse when your immune system is weakened.
I think it attacks the immune system.
Immune system, right.
Yeah.
So if your immune system is
autoimmune
weakened,
disease.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm saying to you, from what I know about sports, having been in sports medicine myself, if you run a marathon, Andre, that drains your body. It takes a lot out of you, especially a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, his immune defense would not have been at its optimum, and that perhaps, and I'm speculating here, I want to make that clear, that perhaps could have contributed to him being afflicted in the way that he was by the disease. Okay? So, I'm saying, I'm sure it is known by the school because he started feeling sick after the marathon. They can contact the Ministry of Education. But I will follow, I think it's a good suggestion you're making.
Yes.
I will pick up the phone and call. I will call, I don't have access to the minister, but I will call his number and I'll call his ministry because I don't necessarily believe that it has to be the minister in person, but I will try to make contact with the minister and his ministry.
Bravo to
suggest
you.
to them that they do something about it, because sometimes we delay on these things. There's this gentleman, I said it last time when I was here, from Labon, who was sick, needed operation, did not have the funds. They were planning a fundraising event for him the Saturday, and he died days before. Okay, and I'm saying what happened there was, while they were waiting to raise the funds that he needed, he died. And it's not for me to say if the funds had come in time, he'll be saved, but there's a possibility. And Andre, that is why you're probably tired of hearing me harping on the NHI. Now, that is not to say the other policies are not important, Andre. But you see, for me, life is the ultimate. Loss of life is final. Anything that can be done to save life and at the same time to improve the quality of life, I have the highest regard for. So I'm not saying to the EWP that I do not appreciate the little reduction by taking off the 2.5%. That'll do my pocket well. I buy gas almost on a daily basis for my vehicle. That will do me well. I appreciate and welcome all of that. But forgive me if I dwell on the NHI, because that is what I think is the bomb among all of the other, ammunitions that the UWP has presented. And so that's just me. A younger person, young people feel invincible. They don't think they can sick or anything. Now they'll tell you it is the $25,000 or it is the free tuition at Sahafa. To each his own, Andre. But I'm saying NHI is very important. And in this case, here's a youngster who would have benefited from that national health insurance.
So just to be sure, you said that $20,000.
$22,000.
That's for the ambulance or the cost of this?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
But, that information can be provided by the family. Now,
So you're going to use your influence to try to...
I will.
All right.
I don't know about influence, Andre.
I'm sure you have influence.
I don't think I have influence on the government. I'm not flattering myself. I don't think I do.
No, in the government. I'm talking about the minister.
The minister. Well, he's in government. But I will call the minister and let's hear what he's going to say. And he knows too that I will come back here and say what he says. So,
so you're going to be good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But in these sorts of things, Mr. Montut, don't you think? I mean, what I understand, governments, of course, they're the ones who are mainly supposed to be helping and supporting. What role do opposition parties play in those things? Do you think the opposition as well should be making some kind of contribution as well?
Yes. In a case like this, where there is obviously the individual does not have health insurance, there's no national health insurance, I expect not even elected, the candidate would get involved in making a contribution in raising the funds. I expect that.
You talking about the MP or?
No. The UWP candidate is not an MP as yet.
No, I thought you were referring to the MP.
Well, the MP is supposed to take on a cause like that, Andre. When you talk about representing people.
But the thing is, are they aware of it? That's the thing I was saying. Are they aware?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I know he is. Sorry, let me take that back. I know he is. Because I've spoken to one family member, so I know he is. Yeah. So, and I'm hoping that he is using his good office to pull whatever string that he can. It is something else the spider says that he wants to buy a car. You know something? That's your problem. If you feel you can buy my vote by doing that, that's up to you. But that's not a necessity in the scheme of things from a national standpoint. But to save a young life, especially.
So you're saying also that the United Workers' Party MP, the candidate can
should get involved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will you speak with him as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mr. I think you're underestimating yourself,
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, your power and influence.
Power. I don't know about power.
Or maybe you're just doing that deliberately.
No, I mean, Andre, I know my place, so I do what I can. I have the medium, like this program here, so I use it to advocate. And you made a good suggestion. I can probably pick up the phone and speak to the Minister of Health, ask them to come in, because I know, as having been a minister myself, that government, at least the UWP, made provisions to assist people in cases like this. And I know the government, the SLP government does as well, because I know of two ministers that were assisted that way.
Yes.
And so, talking about the NHI, and you see how excited I'm about the NHI, you can stop talking about the NHI, you swear that I'm the Minister of Health or something.
What I don't understand about it, Mr. Montut, maybe you can clarify.
Right.
For people who are 70, 80 years old. Wouldn't that be a challenge to get covered, $75,000 at that age?
No, it is understood that those people, yes, they are the category that are high risk.
High risk.
But that will be compensated for by the large pool that is not high risk. Let us understand, this is not a normal everyday insurance policy. We're talking about an insurance company who agrees to do this, getting over 100,000 clients, more than 100,000. Our aged population that are really afflicted with disease and so on is not that big of a population compared to the younger people like yourself and down, compared to that. You know, and so, but Andre, you brought an interesting thing there, because there are many questions that are being asked about this program by people who ought to know better. When I say they ought to know better, you can ask that it be explained. But some people are making pronouncements that they know to be false. Okay, now, your partner, Andre, I say it's your partner because he's from your constituency, and he's a guy, although, I mean, I'll not advocate for him politically. I'll not vote. If I was in Laclery, he's not the one I'll be voting for. I'll be voting for Stephen Favre and all of that. But I don't like the guy. I think...
Mr. Steed you're talking about?
Bax.
Yeah, Steed. Yeah.
Steed. Marcellus Steed,
yes.
yeah. I think generally his heart is in the right place. You understand what I'm saying? And all of that. But sometimes I think some people are sending me information. I will go through it later about the child. Ambulance and all of that.
Okay, nice.
Somebody said the government has paid for the air ambulance. Bravo. Very good. Somebody said so, but I don't know. I'm just reading from what the person says, so don't hold me to it. You know? Yeah. And so, Andre, you know, yes, you are contending against opponents, and in his case, I can imagine Stephen touting the national health insurance, and doesn't matter who he's talking to, because if he's talking to me, he better don't come with his staff or Luis Community College. That has no interest to me. I ain't going back to school. I will continue to learn, but I will not invest in going back to school. But when he says national health insurance, that pertains to you, me, the child, the mother, the father, the grand, and everybody. So I can imagine him touting that. And so Marcellus probably sees that as a big deal. And so he has made a comment on it. But I think the comment he made is unfortunate. And let me just read from it for you. He's asking a question, and I think he should know better as to how the insurance works. So Marcellus Steed here now. Let's start from reality, he says. Let me put it this way I can read better. If we have 180,000 people, that is what their population is estimated to be, in St. Lucia, and each person is promised 75,000 in insurance coverage, that is equal to EC $13.5 billion in total coverage. Now think about it. St. Lucia's entire government budget is around 1.8 billion a year. So this insurance promise alone would be over 7 times the entire national budget. I'm not trying to be a smartass. I'm just asking the real question. How does that plan actually work? Where does the $13.5 billion come from every year to cover everyone? Now, under normal circumstances, I would say that's a fair question, that's a legitimate question, but I genuinely believe Marcellus knows better than to ask that question. And the reason why I say so, and I will take the time to go into some explanation on this, is because I've heard the Minister of Health, of all persons, make similar comments about the health insurance, talking about the billions that it will cost and where we'll get the money from and all of that. I think genuinely they know better. I genuinely believe that. They do know better. But they are just being mischievous and partisan and political. And in Marcellus' case, he may be being partisan as well, because don't forget Marcellus is the de facto Labour candidate. He's actually independent Labour. He was the one who was supposed to run for Labour, but because there is that standing deal with Richard and King, okay, they don't know how to tell King we have our own candidate, so they had Marcellus to run independent, okay, and they're probably secretly telling their supporters to vote for Marcellus. Okay?
That's speculation on your part, right?
Yeah, that's speculation.
Okay. All right.
Logical speculation, and that's what's probably happening. So Marcellus, in effect, comes from the Labour stock. He actually attempted to become a Labour candidate. Okay? And so he probably is taking his cue from the Minister of Health. And to say what he said there is a false analysis of the reality as it pertains to the National Health Insurance. An insurance company, ladies and gentlemen, does not have to provide 100% of the maximum of the cover of the maximum possible claims, okay, for all the insured people. So in other words, no insurance company, in the case of this here, let us say all St. Lucians are insured, and let us say our population is in fact $180,000. The insurance company does not have to provide $75,000 every year for 180,000 people. Okay, that is all the people insured. That does not happen in an insurance. The way insurance works is that the insurance company must have at least a minimum amount to cover policyholders for a minimum amount of claim, and they have their ways of working out what the possible number of claims for a year or per month would be, Andre. Okay, and that is covered by what is called risk pooling. Okay, there's a principle of risk pooling, and risk pooling is that, I explained it before, I'm explaining it again. Spider Montooth doesn't go to the gym as often as Andre Paul, doesn't eat as well as Andre Paul, so he may have to go to the doctor a few times. I might spend $10,000 out of the 75. The fact that I'm entitled to $75,000 coverage doesn't mean I will use $75,000. You, Andre, might just do a little checkup for the year, cost you $500. The younger guy, okay, who doesn't bother with a checkup and doesn't spend 1 cent of his $75,000 coverage. Now, when you talk about the thousands of people who do not utilize their $75,000, that money is in the pool. So the person who unfortunately requires some major surgery or some major health crisis will need that $75,000. It is there. It comes from all the contributions that all of us make. At no time, Andrew, let's just look at it. During COVID, the worst pandemic we have ever experienced, the worst health crisis that St. Lucia has ever faced. If you had life insurance for all St. Lucians, okay, when the Labour Party came into government, okay, after they took over and the dying spree began, okay, when they relaxed all the protocols that were in place to protect St. Lucians, when the dying spree began, you know, it's only 400 and something St. Lucians who died. Sorry about saying only, but I'm putting that only is in the context of the overall population, not in the context of how many lives that were lost. That's a lot. But in the context of the population, there was only 400 people who died, about 400 people. But there are 180,000 people, Andre. So even there, an insurance company could have comfortably covered the claims for those 400 people if they had life insurance, given the fact that there's another 170-something thousand people who did not claim. That is how insurance works. Andre Paul, who has a nice car, paying $10,000 a year insurance. I have an old Samurai 1990 or 1992. Okay, I'm paying $700 a year. Okay, for my insurance. And to make matters worse, I go and have an accident and I claim $5,000. But you, Andre, have not made a claim for the last how many years? So all the $10,000 you paying for your luxury car, I'm taking from that pool, Andre. That's how it works. The police just have about 1,300 police officers or thereabout. I may be wrong, but that's the figure, you know, an estimate of the police force. About 1,300 people, policemen. They pay $75 a month for their insurance. And you know what that insurance provides them? If a police officer dies during the course of duty, he gets, his family, sorry, not him, but his family gets $300,000. If he dies a natural death, his family gets $100,000. If he has to go to the doctor, he gets coverage. Andre, all police officers don't go to doctors every day. All police officers do not die in the line of duty every day. All police officers do not die from natural causes every day. So the money is there. There is enough money to cover the few who may, unfortunately, require the coverage. That is how insurance works. Do not fool people because you all want to make political mileage, to make it sound as if the UWP have come with an impossible pipeline dream that is unattainable. That has been studied. We started working on that in the previous administration, and we know exactly how it is going to work. And I have not been asked to say that, but let me just say from my privileged position that I was in then as a member of cabinet, the talk that I heard around, that was not my portfolio, so I was not directly involved, but the talk that I heard then, we were looking at, because I asked questions, we were looking at a possible $1,200 per person per year. Now, that sounds a lot, Andre, until you break it down to being $100 a month per person. So now, Andre, you are working, and the government said to you, we are creating this national health insurance, and since you are working, we are asking you to contribute $100 a month to get a possible $75,000 coverage. I'm sure very few St. Lucians will have a problem with that.
I'd be happy to take that.
Exactly.
But let me ask you, in terms of how insurance operates out of that particular arrangement that you're speaking about, so why then is it so difficult for older people to have insurance?
Andre, the insurance has a risk involved, and the company will try to minimize its risk. First of all, how many policies do they have? And how would you affect that ratio in terms of, because they do targeting, and they project and in terms of risk factors. They have their ways of working out the risk factor. If I have 10 people, Andre, my risk factor is very high. So if I have 10 people, I don't want one old person among them. That one old person will wipe out all the premiums, for you. But in the case of that group insurance, in effect, is a group insurance the government is asking that company to get into. When I give you a group of 180,000, I mean, it will not be 100. I don't think we have 180,000, but let's say over 100,000 people, okay? When you look at your profile, those people, whatever percentage is youth, whatever percentage is children, when you work it out, you are comfortably able to cover the claims that will possibly be made and to make a profit. And that is what it's all about for the company, making a profit.
So a company has been identified by the opposition already?
Well, I know we were talking to a company back then.
That was willing to do it?
Yes. As to whether that will be the company or they will, think, or they will look at other, because I thought they were talking to that company most likely because they approached companies and that probably was the best offer that they were getting. So I don't know if the process will start over in terms of seeking the ideal company and so on. But I'm saying to St. Lucians, do not let the St. Lucia Labour Party fool you into thinking that is an outrageous scheme. That is a well thought out,
and
well crafted.
Backs as well?
Including Backs. But Backs is Labour. Well, you don't expect, I mean, when you come from a culture, Andre, it follows you, So he's saying he's independent. I mean, how long has, just recently Backs was trying to run for the Labour Party, So he's Labour-minded. You understand what I'm saying? And his Labour people are going to vote for Backs. He's independent Labour. Okay, but he has to be more independent than that, not to rely on the Minister of Health of the St. Lucia Labour Party to come up with that story. And if Backs, forgive me, if you genuinely were ignorant of how these things work, forgive me. But I'm hoping that after today, you do not repeat what you said there, because that is a genuine, bona fide, workable program for St. Lucian. And if you ask me, one of the best things I've heard in my lifetime from any political party. Okay? So, I put health at a premium, and I think the UWP could not have come up with a better plan. Now, I don't know why people are wondering if I have some health condition, that's why I'm so excited.
No,
I don't.
No,
I know the likelihood of anybody becoming afflicted with some health condition. And at that time, Andrea, is not the time where I can go and work to make money.
And in addition to that, and let me support you on that one. In addition to that, by the time you see you retired, especially if you're under the NIC program, the NIC doesn't take care of your medical bills at that point in time. You're on your own.
Exactly.
You're basically on your own. Yes, you're getting your pension, but your pension is nothing compared to what your salary was.
And Andre, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, and don't put me on the spot in either by asking me how I know that. But most families combined do not have a savings of $75,000.
No, at all.
Like I told you, don't ask me how I know that.
Nobody asked me how I know.
And you have to undergo an operation for $75,000 that can bankrupt a family.
What families have is debt.
Exactly. So that is a godsend. On the count of that alone, I will vote a United Workers' Party government into office. On the count of that alone, that is a godsend. And Andre, We all have to be charitable. But you know how sad it is to see a suffering person out there begging for charity, waiting and hoping, and depending on the goodwill of others for their survival, But forget survival. Some people like survival is, I say, give me a piece of bread for my survival. That's not what I'm talking about. For your life. Your life. The survival I'm talking about, not just continue to live, but your life. You can end up dying as a consequence of that decision. I'm certain that will save a lot of lives. But beyond that, Andre, let's not be myopic. Having health insurance will create a healthier nation. A healthier nation is a more productive nation. You will spend less on healthcare because preventative care will not be bypassed because of lack of resources. And these are the things, because I'm sure, no, let me not say I'm sure, I wouldn't be surprised if the insurance company say, as part of the deal to become a member of that NHI, that you have to do
cholesterol tests,
a health test every year,
blood pressure, this sort of thing,
or that you have to do it every year. Your checkup, what we call the checkup.
Yes.
Because by doing the checkup, Andre, they will discover you have early signs of whatever it is, and all it takes is a glass of water to cure it, as opposed to if they catch it 2 years down the road, is major operation that will cost them, the insurance company, all of the $75,000. So I will not be surprised if they do that, you know what I'm saying? And so I am hoping that the government too, through its Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, will start educating people more about health, start putting programs, not just for elite sports, people who go into Olympics and so on, but people like myself, give us opportunities to begin to move. When I say move, physical activity. So that we can have a healthier nation. We can cut down on all those sedentary lifestyle diseases that we have. At one time, I don't know if it is still so, St. Lucia had the unenviable notoriety of being the country with the highest rate of diabetes per capita in the world. You understand? We don't need that.
And amputations as well.
And amputations. We don't need that. We can avoid that. That's the important part. We can avoid that. So through access to healthcare, education, and programs to get us moving, I think we can make that a thing of the past and save money when it comes to health. That's the thing about it. That's what people don't realize. Instead of saying where the government going to get money, I'm telling the government will be saving money when it comes to health by those moves, and that is what I want to see happen. That is why we have to put the United Workers' Party in office, in government. Now, talking about health, Andre, St. Jude's Hospital. You're tired of hearing that, right?
No. No,
St. Jude's Hospital come to me just like bananas, Andre. At one time in my life, okay, every time you turn on the radio, there's a banana strike, there's a no-cut thing, a banana importation, banana quality, banana, and you got sick of hearing the banana problem. St. Jude's. Andre, how many years now? 16?
About that.
Yeah, about that. About 16 years now, and we're still discussing St. Jude's. Andre, I have some clips here, but I wouldn't even bother going to them. But if anybody challenge me, I will play them. Honorable Alva Baptiste, who is currently the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who hails from Labrie, okay, and he probably can stay at his home and throw a stone into the St. Jude's yard, okay? St. Jude, in other words, St. Jude's directly provides service to his people and the people of the South. Made a comment in Parliament, that at the time UWP, Alan Chastain's administration was his office, after almost 4 years, okay, they still had not opened the St. Jude Hospital. And he went on to catalogue how people were dying because of improper diagnosis, because they didn't have all the equipment and the conditions at the stadium and all of that. Okay? It was about 4 years, or just approaching 4 years at the time he said so. Okay? So that would have been, let's say 2019, 2020, he said so. Honorable Baptiste, you have been in government for over 4 years. Over 4 years now, you have been in government. You are the one who famously said, because when we started building the new hospital, they were against it, you know that. He said all the old building needed was a coat of paint and some chemical to open the hospital. And it has taken you all more than 4 years more than 4 years to get a coat of paint and some chemical. And now that an election is approaching, you'll realize you'll have failed the people in the promise that you all made to them. Your Prime Minister is going to say to us in St. Lucia, how insulting, that he never promised the opening of St. Jude's Hospital. What he promised was the building. And after he delivers the building, then down the road will come the commissioning, which will make it a hospital. That is an insult. Because I want to remind everyone, and I want to remind Philip J. Pierre, that his government said that they would provide us with a St. Jude Hospital within a year. Those are the words of Honorable Emma Hippolyte, the representative for Soufrière and Minister of Commerce. We will provide you with the St. Jude Hospital opening within a year. Now, some people might want to be technical and play with the English language and say that she didn't say within which year. You know? But you all have had more than 4 years, and all you all can do is to say that you'll hand over a building, and that is if the building will be completed. Because, Andre, I can show you my home, looking like a house. Is it completed? You don't know. There may be things that, as a shell, it may look complete. Besides, a building is not a hospital. What you promised St. Lucians was a hospital, a functioning, operating hospital. You have failed St. Lucians after more than 4 years. And if you cannot deliver, you could not rather deliver the St. Jude's Hospital after 4 years. And let me put things into context. I am saying after 4 years. Andre, Stephenson King, who is now a part of the St. Lucia Labour Party cabinet, was Prime Minister in 2009 when the hospital got burnt. He remained in office until 2011, and Stephenson King began working on the old St. Jude's, that 80-plus-year-old building that was never designed to be a hospital in the first place, okay, and that has outlived its usefulness, okay. He started refurbishing that building to be a hospital. That's 2 years. Stay with me, Andre. The St. Lucia Labour Party assumed office in 2011 and demitted office in 2016. That's 5 years. Under Dr. Kenny Anthony, they continued the refurbishing of the old St. Jude's Hospital. So that is 7 years in total that they've been working on the old St. Jude's. Alan Chasney came in, carried out his study, and decided that's not the best thing for St. Lucia. It is more cost effective, and it makes more sense in terms of its efficacy, in terms of its usefulness for purpose, and in terms of its projection going down the road. It will be better to build a brand new, state-of-the-art, modern hospital for the people of the South and St. Lucians. And that, all of that included, I just like that a little extra piece there, and I always mention it, included a helipad. Okay, where if you have to be airlifted, the helicopter comes right on top of the hospital to pick you up. They don't have to head abroad with you, driving any old road with you, or anything like that, handle you excessively. The helipad comes right into the hospital. The helicopter, comes right into the hospital. That is what he decided, and he embarked upon the construction. Now, you may say it's an excuse, you may say it's a reason, whatever, call it whatever you want, but COVID came. And COVID did not help the situation with all the difficulties you had in accessing goods and all of that, all the shutdowns, all the protocols that were in place and so on. It definitely would have affected the speed of completing that new hospital. However, elections came, and Alan Chasney and the United Workers' Party government did not complete the new hospital, but it was at least 75% complete. And here you were. The reports done afterwards suggested that within 18 months, I think it was, and an additional $50 to $60 million, it would have been completed. But SLP got back into office, and they decided that it is a box and they're not going to continue it. They're going to go back to the old building that was not designed in the first place to be a hospital, that has outlived its usefulness in terms of how modern it is, how suitable it is, and all of that. They went back to that building.
I know you're not a spokesperson for the Labour Party, but just explain to us, if you can, why do they continually refer to it as a box, almost in a sort of derogatory sort of way?
Because that's ignorance. I'll tell you why I call it ignorance. Most hospitals around the world, most modern hospitals around the world, is what they could call a box. It's of similar shape and similar style. Okay? If you look at many modern houses now, you can call them a box.
Mm-hmm. So it's the shape of the old building.
And that's what Labour does. They know how to use words, okay, to either hype up or destroy. And that's what they do best. And there's nothing like legitimacy, genuineness. There's nothing like, being truthful or anything like that. It's just what serves their purpose politically. That's what they're about. And so it was coined a box. And as if there's something wrong with it being a box, and they condemn it. So they moved to the old building. They now have been in office for more than 4 years. And they have not been able to deliver St. Jude.
So by the way, the box, which is what they're referring to, is the hospital that was the new structure started under
Alan Chasney.
Okay.
Mind you, to complete this hospital there, they had to take two parts of the box, Well, the physiotherapy and some other section, they had to take it. Designed in the same way as the box. That's the disingenuous nature of the St. Lucia Labour Party. But let me just say
what did they say was wrong with it? Why did they insist on going back to the old structure and refurbishing the structure?
Any reason. They're just not going to continue it. But I can tell you the reason. They will not say the reason, but I can tell you the reason. Alan Chasney started it. Just like the Castries Grosley Highway near Rodney Bay, where we're going to build the 4 lanes and so on, Alan Chasney started. They stopped it. Just like the Talvan and Shock housing projects started under Alan Chasney government, especially since Guy Joseph was involved, they stopped it. That is the reason, And it doesn't matter how much it costs the government, because
I was just about asking you that.
Because the housing
box, that quote unquote box, how much did that cost taxpayers?
The United Workers' Party government has spent over $100 million on it, okay, and it's just standing there, But I am pleased to say, I was not asked to say that, but I was privy to certain discussions. If the UWP gets back into office, they will complete the box because it's a modern hospital designed for purpose.
Mr. Mantud, you're kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. But that doesn't mean we'll abandon the old St. Jude's, because it can be put to use, okay? Can be put to use. Don't forget St. Jude is not open yet, And if it means housing people temporarily in the old St. Jude's until a proper hospital is built, that should be done.
So what is not proper about this structure that the Labour Party government is?
There were major electrical problems, and if you do your investigation unofficially, that is the reason why it was burnt down in the first place. Okay? Whoever wired that thing probably died 100 years ago, Although the building is just 80 years old. All right? So, ask yourself, is it properly designed electrically to accommodate all those high-tech machinery that will be placed into there, and in terms of accommodating the load that will be required at the hospital? That's one. Number two, will it be able to accommodate some of those machines in terms of height and size? Will it be able to accommodate them? Is it safe? Okay? Because of all the walls and corners and all of those things. Okay? Is it convenient? The next thing is having to take people from this place to go to this other building and so on. All of those things will mitigate against having a properly run, smoothly operating hospital that is ideal for the comfort and recovery of patients, and to facilitate the staff as well.
So, Mr. Mantud, how will the United Workers' Party administration, if you win the next election, explain to St. Lucians that the structure that's being built right now will have to be, you said they'll use some of it.
They had a plan for it.
But how would you explain that to St. Lucians, especially if you've been waiting for so long?
So how do you explain to St. Lucians?
No, ask me that. Asking you.
Yeah, I'm saying, how would we explain to St. Lucian just having spent over $100 million on a building, just leave it there to go to rot? We can't afford that. When it is in fact an ideal building for a hospital. That, in terms of projection. Now, Andre, let me just say something to you. I don't care about the shape or design of the building. I'm concerned about the utility of the building. Now, let me tell you, I keep talking about the helipad. Let me tell you what I'm most impressed with about that building. It was designed to withstand fire risk, okay? So it is not as ignitable as the previous burnt one was because of the material they use and so on. That reduces the risk of fire. It is designed to withstand a certain category of hurricane. And the last thing you want to know, okay, is when you're running out of your home, at least you can run, you'll go to a shelter. What do the patients do? If a little wind is blown on the roof of the hospital gone and the walls fall, you want to know that if there's one building that can withstand a reasonably strong hurricane, it is your hospital. That was taken into consideration. Okay? These are the serious considerations for me. Okay? Now, I'm saying to you that they should go back to the original plan. I don't want to say that on people because I'm one of the spokespersons for the party, and I'm not talking party policy here right now. I'm telling you what I anticipate is that they go back to the original plan. When they complete the hospital, move people into the hospital and use the old St. Jude for the plan that they had. It was going to be used as a university hospital. So that in itself, Andre, would enhance our health system dramatically. When I did sports medicine, I had to spend so many hours to qualify for graduation, so many hours at a health institution, providing service for free. You understand? By that time, you would have already, they will not let you do things that are beyond your training. But if I'm like in my last year and so on, there are certain things I can do, of course under the supervision of a qualified person. But you know how much that will enhance the service that we're going to get. Let me tell you why it will enhance the service. First of all, you have more hands on there, more people to carry out the service, capable. And let me just say something to you. We'll tell you, okay, qualified people, these people are not qualified yet and so on. You know, you get more dedication and more strict adherence to procedures and all of that from the students. Because guess what? You know, they've been watched and graded. You understand what I'm saying? So that will enhance our healthcare in this country. And that is forward thinking and planning. And all of those things combined will make St. Lucia a much better place for us to live, will give us a much better quality of life.
But just to be sure, Mr. Mantut, these are your thoughts. It doesn't mean that this is the actual policy and plans.
I said so because that was the plan they had before. They have not,
right.
To be honest with you, I've not heard them go into such detail as to what they're going to do. But I think they should. And I'm going to ask our spokesman on health, Benson Emil, who was a former PS of health, to spell it out. Because because people are asking for policies. You're in policies nowadays. None of y'all gonna call me and tell me, Spider, you're talking about Andre, you're talking about John, you're talking about Jack. What are your plans? What are your policies? Me plans, me policies. You can't say you're not getting them. Okay? Now what we want is details. Okay? So, Andre, I talk about the NHI and for Marcellus and Honorable Musa Jabatis, for their benefit. Don't talk that nonsense in public anymore, you know, for people to laugh at you all. I mean, you all know now how insurance work, and so, you know, don't say those things anymore, just because you're trying to take the wind out of the UWP sail. It's good. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to move on, if you don't mind, Andre, if you have any questions.
Yes, I certainly do.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up because this came up last week on Meet the Minister. And I just wanted to get your view, not necessarily the party's view. I want to get your views because I have a very important question to ask you.
Yeah.
I have with me here a letter that was signed by a former permanent secretary, well, I don't know if it's a former, Mr. Benson Emil. He's not the permanent secretary anymore, no? Or is he still
he's
there?
actually a candidate for the UWP now.
Right, okay, good. So he's the one who signed this letter that was sent on behalf of Mr. Jeremiah Norbert. And the letter reads, it's very short, so bear with me. The Governor of St. Lucia, through the Department of Health and Wellness, accepts responsibility for medical bills on behalf of Jeremiah Norbert, male St. Lucian who requires urgent medical assistance. Kindly note that payment will be processed at the earliest. Thank you for your kind cooperation and assistance on this urgent request. Now, Mr. Norbert was here last week and he said categorically that he paid for everything. Okay, the government never paid anything on his behalf. What I want to know is, assuming what Mr. Norbert is saying is true, isn't the government, wouldn't you say the government, I'm not talking about the Labour Party government or the United Workers' Party government under an obligation to give the gentleman a refund?
Okay, let me just say something to you.
Yes.
First, let me say to you, I don't know the details of that situation, but let me just explain something to you. Right now, I am waiting to go to Martinique for care. While my family is going to call my brother, call my auntie in England, call my sister to see if they can patch up to send me. If my condition is critical, I have to be flown today. The hospital has to be given guarantee of how they're going to be paid. I don't think they will accept as guarantee. I call in my auntie to see if she can give me send £10 for me. That will not carry it. But if a government sends a letter saying that we are prepared to take on the responsibility, they will accept you on that basis. Like I said, I cannot speak to that specific case because I don't know the situation. Meanwhile, okay, if I say, Andre, Minister of Health, give me a letter so that they can accept me and we will pay. By that time, I auntie send the money, my brother patch up, my mother, everybody. When the time comes, I pay my bill and I leave. Now, so it's possible that what he's saying may be so. It is possible.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, isn't the government, right?
If he did not pay, the government is obligated to pay. But if he paid it himself.
Right. Aren't they supposed to give him a refund by virtue of the fact that they promised that letter? Because to me, that's a letter of promise saying we will accept responsibility.
It depends on the conditions of that, Andre. If you were just doing that to guarantee, if it's understood, and again, like I don't know the details, so I cannot answer the question. I'll have to ask the Benson about that. Again, if the conditions were, that you're just guaranteeing, and that reminds me of a Labour Party candidate, you're just guaranteeing my acceptance at the hospital, but I told you I will pay.
Yes.
Then that's a different thing.
Yes, and that's what the letter says, Mr. Montes. So I just wanted to ask, because speaking, as you said, you keep saying it doesn't mean that that's the policy of the United Workers' Party or anything like that. I'm just asking you, just to get your opinion. Don't you think that based on that,
I'm sure if there was an issue to pay, I'm sure if there was an issue to pay, the government would pay. And besides, by the time maybe they would do the billing and all of that, the government to pay, there would have been a dissolution of the House already. We're going into an election. Don't forget that happened just before the election.
Yeah, as I said, he said that he paid everything.
Well,
he paid everything.
If it was an issue where he expected the government to pay, he should have made his government pay. They were in office then. That's my feeling. And then I would have no objections for the government paying for him. Now, mind you, I keep saying...
You mean giving him a refund? You wouldn't have any objections to that?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Don't mind you, Andre, I keep saying... The same way you can pay for Dr. Virginia and you can pay for Honorable Joachim and things so. Don't think I have a problem with that. These are people who serve the country, Andre. All I'm saying is, just like they get that privilege, it is a privilege, just like they get a privilege. If, for example, a young kid is in dire straits and need assistance and the family really and truly cannot help themselves, the government should step in as well. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So, at the end of the day, such is the situation. And I'm not just going to say things for the sake of elections and that kind of thing. There are some principles that I hold steadfast to, And but again, what I like about the National Health Insurance, the UWP is putting it in place. I don't have to go. If Marcella Johnson is the representative of Grosley, I don't have to go cap in hand begging Marcella Johnson whether she can, pay the bill for me or that kind of thing. That I don't have to. I have my pride too, Andre. I'd rather know. I just go to my insurance or send the documents to my insurance company and my bill is paid. I think that's more dignified. You understand what I'm saying? That is another reason why I strongly support that. So you know that the whims and fancy, of any on the mercy of any politician. That's what I like about it. I'm getting some messages there, and I assume it is in response to what we are discussing here. So if I can just take a quick look, of somebody said they want to clarify the statement on St. Jude, that we will not stop them from going into the old building, but we will continue and complete the modern structure. That is basically what I said.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't say anything onto it. But that person is a well-placed person in the executive of the UWP, so I read it.
So in other words, exactly what you're saying there, the person is endorsing that, right?
He's endorsing what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious to know how will the party / government explain that to St. Lucians that they still have to wait again? I mean, God knows how long this will take.
To wait. Whichever is ready. If our government, the current government,
Mm-hmm.
is not lying to us again, and you know how they lie, right, Andre? You have been, at the receiving end of some of the lies. Yes, you. Yes, you, Andre Paul. You. The Prime Minister has sat before you on more than one occasion.
Oh, that's what you mean. That's what you're talking about.
Okay, more than one occasion, the Prime Minister has sat before you, Andre, looked you in the eye and lied to us through you. Okay? So if he is not lying again, he said the building is complete. All it is required now is to commission the hospital. Now, that will take some time, naturally, because a building is not a hospital, especially a building that was not built for a hospital. So, we will move people into the old building until the real hospital is completed.
When you say the old building, you're talking about the one that they're working on right now?
That's right.
Ah, okay.
No,
all right.
not right now. They've been working on for the last 11 years.
Yes.
That they've spent 11 years working on. Because King spent 2, Kenny spent 5, and Pierre spent 4. 11 years. 11 years.
But Mr. Montut, you're speaking like the United Workers' Party was not part of this. That's the way you're speaking.
Yeah. I didn't say so. I said King.
You said King, exactly.
Yeah. King spent 2. So that was a head start for them.
Yeah, but you sound like you separated Mr. King from the party at that time.
No,
he
I'm
was
just telling you how many
party.
years that we have been working on the old St. Jude's, and it cannot be completed. So if you give me a building that you've been working on for 2 years, unless it's some cyberspace thing you're building or whatever, anything like that, it took the Labour Party themselves another 9 years to complete it, 9 years working on a building to complete it. And it's not even like Alan Chasney, who took some time to carry out his analysis and evaluation and all of it to make a determination. It took him some time to do that, and he was able to in the space of 5 years that was interrupted by 2 years of COVID. He was able to complete it to 75% complete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you cannot finish a building that was in existence already after 11 years of work on it, and you're going to tell St. Lucians how you didn't promise them when you in fact promised them. Your government said to us we would be getting the hospital in a year, according to a member of cabinet by the name of Honorable Emma Hippolyte, the Minister of Commerce. A gentleman called Alva Baptist, the Honorable Alva Baptist, Minister of Foreign Affairs, representative for Labrie, said many years ago that 4 years was too long. Okay, and that after 4 years, how could you not be able to deliver a hospital? You've been there for over 4 years. After that 4 years, and you still cannot deliver it. That is a colossal failure on the part of the SLP government. And all I ask of you, after this dismal failure and waste of our time and resources, because Andre, I have not spoken to you about how much it has cost us, I talk about the time it cost us, 11 years, okay? And over $100 million was spent by Dr. Anthony. A few tens of millions was spent by Stevenson King. And we took a loan under Philip J. Pierre of about $260 million,
Yes, we're aware of that.
Okay? All of that, and we still don't have a hospital, Andre. We still do not have a hospital after all of that money spent by the Labour Party.
The government has promised to deliver the hospital before the end of this year, somewhere around there. So, Mr. Montutu, just to be sure,
Andre, stop. I am so shocked that you, Andre, actually repeating things that the Labour Party
said. That's what they said.
And you repeating it?
No, I'm just telling you what they said.
And you're repeating it?
Yes, because...
Let me tell you what they also said.
So, but you repeat things that they say, Mr. Matut.
No, I'm saying what they say. I'm not repeating.
Well, exactly.
Let me tell you what they said. Let me tell you what they
You're
said.
a lawyer.
Let me tell you what they said. Emma Hippolyte said 4 years ago that you're going to get the hospital in a year. Answer that. You're going to be a lawyer now and tell me which year she talking about.
Mr. Matut, just to be sure, right?
Yeah.
You're saying the structure that the Labour Party administration is working on right now, which is the /old structure, but now it's in a new, like a modified form.
Mm-hmm.
If that is open before the elections or after, whenever it does take place, that's opened and functioning.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that if you
genuinely expect it to be open?
I don't know.
I know it's not going to be.
If the United Workers' Party wins the next election, that you'll allow it to function.
Yes.
But the structure that under Mr. Alan Chasney will be continued.
Yeah, that's the real hospital.
I get you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just say something to you.
And by the way, we have people calling.
Let me just abuse your mind of something, Andre. It will not be open before elections.
It will not be open for elections.
And they have given you all the excuses already. They promised you a hospital, which is a lie, by the way. They promised you a building, not a hospital, not an open hospital. That's the Prime Minister saying so. And you know that's a lie, right? That is a lie. I already have content for my SLP segment of my next talk show, okay, which is Secret Lies and Propaganda of the SLP. That is a lie. They said categorically that they would be opening the hospital in a year. After 4.5 years almost, they are now telling us they only promised us a building. So they have failed. Now, I'm not surprised. I've come to expect that of the St. Lucia Labour Party. What I do not want, however, is for them now, after failing so dismally, to go and take an additional $400,000 of our money and have a big ceremony, some pomp and celebration, so wasting money to say that they are presenting us with a hospital, because it's not a hospital.
So what is it? What is it, Mr.
A building. That's what the Prime Minister said. A building. Okay? Our building is not a hospital. If a building was a hospital, I would call my home a hospital. Okay? So a building is not a hospital. And so, Andre, let's move on. We have established the failure of the
taking calls,
SLP.
any calls today? You're not taking any calls?
See that time already. Give me 5 more minutes. Let me just go through.
Okay, callers, please stand by. Please stand by. Mr. Mantut will be taking calls in just a minute.
A while ago, you talk about Stephen King. This guy has become such an embarrassment. Sorry to say that about your parliamentary representative, Andre. But this guy has become such an embarrassment. You know what I suspect, Andre? When your time comes, just bow out gracefully, leave, go. Don't stay there, after you're expired and to embarrass yourself in the way that Stephen King is doing. The man has no ideas, no plans, nothing. And now he's just blatantly just making utterances that make him look.
So sorry, Mr. Mantut. So he doesn't have those ideas and plans now. When he was with your party, he had plans then? He had ideas?
No, the party always have plans and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
If he was the one with the plans and ideas, Labour Party would now have plans and ideas. It's clear to see. He was our Minister of Infrastructure. And look at how well we did with roads. How well are they doing now with roads? So it's not him, it's the party, Andre. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a team. You're not him.
So when a minister takes credit for something as he's a member of a party, then he shouldn't take credit then?
No, it's the team. The fact that he spearheads it, he can take some of the credit, but the bulk of the credit goes to the government, which is the team, And all those ideas, those plans, those visions and everything, somebody will be Minister of Health, somebody will be Minister of Education, but it's the policies of the UWP is what is at work. The person deserves credit for implementing those policies, but it is the policies of and I want people to note that. It makes a big difference what party you vote, because the party is not just a name, Of course, you need to have the right individuals to constitute the party. But the party is based on the ideas and the philosophies and on the foresight, the vision. So John had vision. That's why the causeway and the marina and all of those things, the tunnel, independence and all those things that the St. Lucia Labour Party with no vision opposed. We saw the merit and the benefit of it, and we're enjoying it now. And they're the first to come and criticize colonization now when they wanted to keep us colonized, The same St. Lucia Labour Party that are talking now wanted to keep us colonized. They fought to keep us colonized. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, Lady Janice spoke about them. And I invite those of my listeners here now to go on social media and see what Lady Janice had to say about the St. Lucia Labour Party in the last charity event that she hosted a couple of weeks ago. Okay? She reminded us that these were the same people who now want to talk about Sir John and the father of the nation and so on, who threw SHIT on Sir John in the boulevard. Okay? I know a pious fellow, Andre, I'll not say the word. Okay, they threw that on Sir John in the boulevard. They wanted to capsize his vehicle and deny him a parking by his office in the boulevard. They blocked the road, okay, lit fire and so on, and tried to assassinate him in the valley. The same people, these are the things that they did. They opposed independence, destroyed the city. Okay, made it what we call a plywood city. I see Richard doing a good job to return to plywood city again, because everything he does now is a plywood shacks in the city. You know, so he revisiting plywood city in a different way. You know, but these are the people who now have the gall to come and talk as if, well, because some young people who are going to be voting in this election were not there and they do not know, as if there were none of us who were there and who remember. And you see, the history have to be told, because you have to judge people in context, and part of the context is the history. So Stephenson King had a lot to say, and Stephenson King had the audacity to compare Philip J. Pierre with Sir John Compton. I can only imagine how the Compton family and the rest of St. Lucia feel insulted by that comparison, because there's no comparison that could be made between Philip J. Pierre and Sir John Compton. Sir John Compton fingerprints are on every major developmental project that has taken place in St. Lucia. Everyone. Education, health, you know, all aspects of development in this country, Sir John had a lot to do with it. So he insulted Sir John's legacy by comparing him to Stephenson King. And like I said, I would love to know what Lady Janice have to say. By the way, Lady Janice endorsed Stephenson King last election. Let's see what who she's going to endorse this election. Because I'm sure Stephenson King has put himself, you know, out of commission by that statement alone, you know. But you see, Stephenson King, true to form, and it did not help that he joined a Labour Party that thrives on dishonesty and deceit, you know. You know, Stephenson King was on a program, a talk show, last week, and Stephenson King now trying to talk of achievements of the Labour Party. And it's a difficult thing to talk of achievements when they don't exist, you know. And he talked about, St. Jude's, as if they deliver in St. Jude's, which they will not, so that's a lie. He talked about a few projects, and he mentioned, and the host asked him, so what about that project in Hill 20? The guy is actually talking about the housing project in Talvon that was done by Fresh Start. And he said, yeah, you know, on giving the impression that government had anything to do with that project. Well, Andre, I'm sorry to say, you know, that I have to expose Stephenson King as one of the members in the SLP cabinet who thrives on telling lies, and that was a blatant lie. And Stephenson King knows that it is a lie because the SLP government had absolutely nothing to do with the project. So he said that. But listen to this. A retraction came from the station soon after. Yesterday, during the Situation Room, that's the name of the program, a reference was made by the announcer to a housing project at Hill 20 Babono. The responses by Minister of Infrastructure, Honorable Stephenson King, made it appear that this housing development was a government project. However, we've since been contacted by the project's owner, Fresh Start Construction Company Limited, who clarified that it's a private initiative and not a government project. We now wish to clarify the important details of the project and apologize for the mistake. So Stephenson King didn't only embarrass himself, he embarrassed the station, okay, who had to issue a retraction. And that retraction was read on News Spin, which is the same station where that program was held. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, what do you think of people like that who just blatantly lie for political gain? You can't trust those people. Where there's no trust, there's no relationship, Andre. You cannot have a relationship with people who lie to you all the time. The Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J.P., lies to us all the time. Richard Frederick lies to us all the time. Emma Hippolyte has told us lies. Okay? Ernest Hille has told us lies. You know? Kenson Kazimi has told us lies. Stephenson King has told us lies. That is a lying government. You know? We have to put them to rest. Let them lie in peace. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, quickly, before I open the line, CIP case, I just have to touch on that quickly. We heard Ernest Hille beating his chest once again and shouting vindication. And that is because a case that was before the appeals court was dismissed. In other words, you know that Alan Chastney, the leader of the opposition, took the government to court on the operations and management of the CIP program. There were many questions as to how the program was being run, and he was challenging it in court. Along with that challenge, he also made a request of the court that they put an injunction on the program so that the government does not continue to sell passport until this whole matter was ironed out about the management and the proper procedures and so on. What happened was that the court made a decision on the injunction asking for the granting of that request to stop the sale of passports. The court said no, they will allow the government to continue the sale of passports. But honestly, is up in the air. Vindication. You have not been vindicated, my man. The court case has not been heard. So don't fool people once again. That is how you all are deceptive and dishonest. Don't try to fool people into thinking there was any vindication of your actions. There wasn't. Okay? The court just did not grant the request for you to stop the sale of passports while the case was going on. And that's what happened. So, Andrew, we can go to our listeners.
Pity you didn't bring up that issue a little earlier. I have so many questions. But anyway, let me just give the numbers. The fixed line is 572-9710.
And that is instructive that you have so many questions on a program that has been ongoing for so long.
No, this particular matter with the case, the case for the CIP. Mm-hmm. Okay, 572-9710, 572-9710, or WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. Okay, we have somebody on the WhatsApp platform already.
Yes, good day, caller. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Mr. Paul. Good morning, St. Lucian listener.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Spider Montut.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you say like government lying to the people.
All the time.
I would like you to tell the people the truth as well.
That's correct.
Because an 80-year building is no longer in St. Jude. We all know all the buildings are there are new buildings. And when you say like they had electrical problem that caused the hospital burn, a building burn, and you tell me you will use the same electrical thing in that same building, you will not run electrical or run the wiring for current. You will use the same old thing.
Okay, can I respond to you?
No, let me just...
No. I'll miss some of what you say.
Well, make some notes, Mr. Montud.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's not going to be on the line forever. Dre, I want to have as many callers as possible. This is not a platform for the SLP. So if I give you an opportunity, ask your questions quickly and give somebody else a chance.
Well, let me just do it quickly and let me give somebody a chance. But you're stopping me.
Yes, I have the right to stop you. I'm the host of the program.
You say, Emma say they will deliver the hospital in 1 year. But when you all came into power, on that same Andre show, when he was working on HTS, Nancy Charles come out and say they will give the hospital in 18 months, 6 months, and up to a day like today. And if I want you to tell the people about the audit that Guy Joseph do on that same St. Jude Hospital. Thank you, my take.
Thank you. All
right, Andre, I'll start with the last one first. He said that Nancy Charles said that we'll deliver the hospital at some point to you in 18 months, right? Nancy Charles, and that's not an excuse, I'm just giving you the reason. Nancy Charles at the time, I can assure you, did not know anything about COVID. She didn't even know there's something that exists called COVID, if it even existed then. So then came COVID after she said that, and for 2 years, everything in this country was hampered, including construction. So that explains the difference between what she said and what happened. I do not know what your explanation is between what Emma said and what happened, but I can assure you there was no COVID between then and now. What he said, what was the other part? You see, that's the thing about it. Going on.
Take some notes.
You know, and so on.
But anyway.
he said, I said that the government was lying, and he asked me if he suggested that I was telling a lie as well. I wish he would have, because everybody accused me of telling a lie, but nobody has told me the lie that I've told, because I make a point. So, and if you want to question what Emma said, I have a clip of her saying it, and that's what I usually do. That's why I usually play the clip so you can hear it in their own voice. You see, so that's not manufactured statements. That's facts I'm stating. I know you don't like to hear it, but I'm not here to say what you like to hear. I'm here to say what the reality is, and that's simple as that.
Okay.
Anyway, we have another caller.
Yes, we do.
Caller, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've been reliably informed that the young boy is in Matnik as we speak.
Great.
I think
great.
ambulance
Wonderful.
was arranged.
Okay, I think in the
So
entire program, that's the best news we have had.
Okay, so you can research it, but I've been reliably informed that has happened.
Great.
Okay,
I'm
great.
happy to hear that, and I'm hoping that he will make a full recovery and, be back in school and functioning normally like his friends, enjoying himself and doing what children do.
Okay, we have another call.
Yes. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Andre Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Minister, Montout. How are you? You're okay?
Yes, fine.
We're fine. We're fine.
Thank you. Good. Let me tell you about the 75,000 the medication. Let me tell you, whatever you do in that surgery, a doctor or anything emergency, even though you do it in St. Lucia or you do it overseas like Matnik, did you the government and Mr. Alan Chastney cover that for you?
Not Alan Chastney that will cover it for you. The insurance will cover it.
Because I don't have an insurance.
No, but with the NHI, all
all
St. Lucians will be insured.
Oh,
So right
well,
now,
I
you don't
never
have, people like us will be covered after that. You and I.
because I do have an insurance and I doing a surgery in free surgery in my eyes. I doing because I am not working. You see, and I have a bill in Matnik and I myself blind. I cannot work. Since that happened, since the COVID, and I had to do something, I do it. But since they had, the boat cannot up and down, since they have the COVID, and we taking a long time, it's not our fault, it's not the boat, because the boat, everything have been down from the COVID. I doing the surgery there, and not I pay in, let me see that, I pay 4,000 euro. I don't pay it ready, finish paid yet for the injection and the two surgery, 8,000 euro, 1,800 euro, 1,800 euro. I pay. So triply like free 1,008 euro I pay. And I have that money to pay. And I'm not seeing, I'm not working, I am not doing nothing, and I still have that money.
Okay, caller.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You're asking a very, very good question, caller. Thank
Somebody
you.
in your case certainly need help.
You understand what she's saying, huh?
Yeah, because she's blind, she's not working, but
apparently she owes.
Apparently
she owes. Yeah. That's a very good question.
Someone like you would require assistance, and that would have to be dealt with out of the NHI, because the NHI is not in place as yet, and I do not think that. I doubt very strongly that the insurance company will encumber themselves with previously incurred costs. But the government would have to look into this. That is where social safety net programs will come in to assist somebody like you.
Yeah, because I think she probably feels that maybe she will not be accepted.
Right, but she will be accepted. But what I will say, in addition to accepting and going forward for her to be covered, I think the government will have to look into assisting her with the outstanding debt that she has.
Okay, you have another call.
Yeah, okay. Caller, good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Good morning, Spider. Good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Andre, the problem I have is that hospital there. Our Prime Minister keeps saying a lot of lies, and I have to say it's lies. Because he said before year end, we will get a hospital. Now the year getting close to an end. 1 more month before the year finish. And what is saying now, Andre? It's all media houses will get a building. That's not a hospital. And Andre, you know that too, because it's all in the media house. You understand? And the Prime Minister have to know. He have to stop fooling St. Lucian. He did that once before the election. He got in. But all the lies and the foolishness he's telling us and trying to get us more foolish, that will not stand when he rings the bell on Sunday if he wishes to call the elections on Sunday. And with all the lies, he'll pay a big price in the ballot box. Because we, the electorate, enough is enough. And number two, he has taken advantage on all St. Lucian, even the Labour Party supporters, by putting high prices on the pump, where on the world market, the crude oil is down. In the Caribbean, we pay the petrol, the most expensive gas in the Caribbean. And Philip J. Pierre, as Prime Minister, St. Lucian has to make you pay for all these things in the ballot box. Inflation is on a high, 2.5%, putting holes in our pocket. You don't care about St. Lucian, Philip J. Pierre. The only thing you're making St. Lucians suffer, and we are suffering. And we're not going to an election to vote you in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
You know, Andre, I quickly want to just say this. The gentleman who called first, talking about the 75-year-old building, as if it is not the 75-year-old building that is there and so on. Most of the hospital is going to be housed in that old building. There are a couple new buildings that were built by the Alan Chasney administration. They had no choice but to utilize those buildings as well. But most of it, and I said that the fire was said to be an electrical fire. I'm not the one who said it. That's what came out. And he's asking whether the same electrical thing. You see, leadership is about making prudent, visionary, insightful decisions. So you have to know, if you're going to refurbish a building, how much will it cost you? At the end of the day, will the refurbished building give you what it is that your objective is, that is a hospital, having a hospital, and how much more it will cost as opposed to if you were to build a hospital from scratch? These are the things that we have to judge the kind of thinking of the current government on.
Unfortunately,
anyway,
we have to take a final call.
Okay, caller, go ahead and make your contribution. Good day. Welcome to Like It Is. Sorry, welcome to Meet the Opposition. Go ahead and make your contribution, please. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, caller. Good morning.
Okay, let's just take another call then.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. The reason I say final is because we have a program coming on after you. So
well,
that's
Andre,
why.
you're treating the minister better than the opposition.
Why do you say that?
You're giving them extra time, you're not giving me extra time?
No, I'm saying we have a program coming on next. That's the problem. Yeah. On a Friday, we don't have a program that follows.
I see. Okay. Yes, hello. Good morning.
Oh, the person. Okay, here we go. All right.
Yes, good morning. Welcome to Meet the Opposition.
Good morning, Andre.
Good morning.
Yes. I am calling to make a point because last night I watched the show, the SLP show, and I couldn't even finish watch it. I was like so disappointed and angry. I live in Matnik, and I heard that one of the SLP, Musa, saying that the UWP is trying to fool people. Martinique, there's something called the Cat Vital. There are people that are unemployed that can get free healthcare, and there are people also that are working. Those that are working, they pay a fine, even though it's not much, but sometimes it can be 20 euro or less than 20. I cannot understand why will he try and make Miss Alan Chasney look bad just because he said something about if you're working, you could put a little fine. That is not nothing, because for a country to run, the country needs tax, and there's nothing wrong with health insurance. They keep on lying to St. Lucians and making us look so foolish on the map. I live in Matnik, and Philip J. Pierre is the Prime Minister, and you don't even hear the French people praising Philip J. Pierre. All what they talk about is Alan Chasney. Because all what he does when he goes and represent us, is laugh at everything. Even when he came up to sign the paper to put everybody in jail that do crime and everything like that, that is not a laughing matter. He keep on selling out our people in St. Lucia, and he's laughing. He's the only one on the newspaper laughing. I'm wondering what is there to laugh about? Because if someone did a crime and they already paid their time, or if they did something that they don't even know for so long it happened in Martinique, that person is already 90 years. That person in Martinique is entitled to come and take that person to bring them in jail. That is wrong. And that is not a prime minister that stands up for us. I want St. Lucians to open their eyes. Open their eyes to see the poverty that is coming. Open their eyes to see how much suffering that is heading. I'm asking my St. Lucians to vote for Alan Chasney. I am coming down to vote for Alan Chasney. We have a Lucian group up here that is coming down to move Philip J.P. and his lying crew. We are tired. Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Spider. Have a blessed day.
You're welcome.
Thank you, caller. Okay, Andre, I think we have now come to the end of our show. I want to thank you, first of all, Andre. I want to thank all our listeners, whether in St. Lucia, in the diaspora, and I want to thank those of you who called in. And I'm sure, we touched on quite a few matters there. I'm sure some of them were of interest and concern to you. But, the time is approaching, an election is imminent. Now is the time you have to now critically analyze and assess the policies and plans of the various parties and candidates, because there are some so-called independent candidates, and to ask yourself, with whom would you be better off, and whether you can continue along the path that we are going for the future. So I want to wish all of you a good day, and please join us again next Thursday for another edition of Meet the Opposition. But in the meantime, you can join me on Monday for Like It Is on Hot 7 TV. And on Sunday, we have a massive public meeting on the waterfront of Ancillary. You can join us there as well. So thank you. Have a good day and enjoy the upcoming weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard Spider-Man Toot, the host of Meet the Opposition, heard and seen on Rev-Up Slu every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So join Spider-Man Toot, God willing, next week Thursday for another Meet the Opposition. And with that, we come to the end of Wake Up and Live for today, Thursday, the 6th of November. Thanks for listening. As always, you can join me tomorrow morning, God willing, from 5 o'clock for another Wake Up and Live. Now, up next, we have Kina. She'll be with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Of course, during that time, at 11:30 this morning, we'll be presenting the healing process with Pastor Phil and Clarissa Leon. That's coming up at 11:30 this morning. Then the DJ takes over from 3 until 5. And then from 5 until 6, we have Paul Politic with Mary Polius. Well, please enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Andrew Paul wishing you a safe day. So long.